Your graph paper, we're going to do it like this. You're going to do, it's folded with the little grid on the outside. It's got big grid here, so we're gonna do 1, 2, 3. We're gonna do 3 examples, and we'll glue it here. You see, it'll be glued just like that. So, number 1's on the front, on the little grid, and we're going to do f of x is equal to 2, open parentheses, x plus 6, quantity squared, minus 2. Vertex. Now, this one you should know if you've done lesson 32. If you haven't even done that, you still should know what the vertex is. Where do you get the vertex from? Opposite of what's in parentheses, so the x is going to be negative 6, and then the 2 stays the same. So and if it's in parentheses, we're going to do circles, ellipses, hyperbolas later, and some of those have x's and y's in parentheses, and if it's a parentheses, you always do opposite. So opposite, the same. Axis of symmetry, and we just abbreviated A of S, is going to be a line, and it actually is going to be x equals negative 6. It's going to be the same as this, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We'll actually graph it on this first one. You do not have to graph it on your classwork. You just have to state it. It is a line. It's not a point. It's not a number. I fight honors with that all the time, every year over that. So I want to emphasize it is a line. And then the y-intercept, we will let the calculator tell us, and there's actually only one. I mean, every one of them crosses the y-axis, so we're going to do it like that. It's when your x is 0. And then the x-intercepts, if there are any, we'll get from our graph. And I'm going to try to do a variety. I'm going to do where there are some, where there's not some. We're going to just kind of do a variety of each. Now, let's go to our calculator. Now, I didn't write these rules. Again, I guess we could go back to when we graphed lines if you need that skill. Let me get to my y equals. Oh, and mine is just about dead. So I'm going to have to charge it up tonight. I'll have to plug it up. But I think we're good to go. So let me go ahead and clear mine. So you need to go, now I'm not rewriting this. I think you could go back, because you graph it, you're going to type in just like we've done before, so there's no use of writing go to y equals, type in your equation. Now here's what I make sure. Do you have anything in your y equals? If you do, you need to clear. And are any of your plots turned on? That means, are they dark? Do you have any plots up there that have like a black box around them? Get your calculator, Harrison. You can do some of this without the calculator. There's some of it you can't do without the calculator. Okay, y equals, no plots turned on, and we want to type it. So I'm going to type 2. Let's see if I can get everything on the screen. Here we go. 2. Now, do you know where your parentheses are? I think we've used them. They're above the 8 and 9. So you got open parentheses, x plus 6. X, remember, is next to your alpha. You don't want to use your alphabet. You just want to use alpha x, which is just x. And then plus 6. Close your parentheses. Now, the best, thank you, Allie. The best squared is the squared one on your key over here to the left, right here on your calculator. See if you see it right here, that x squared, because it will drop it back. See, if I hit this key, it goes right back down. If I hit the raise to the 2 key, then you have to arrow over to get it to come back down. So I just think that's the quickest, and then minus 2. And notice I said them as they are. Is it a negative or is it a minus? You have to do that. Now, it wouldn't hurt us to go ahead and check our window before, because no telling what you've had in your calculator since we graphed. Now, I believe every one of your classwork will work in standard window. Now, standard window is when the x's and y's both go from negative 10 to positive 10. Negative 10, positive 10, negative 10, positive 10. You can check that by pushing the window key. Do you see the window key? It should be right next to y equals. See it? Now, if it's not in that window, we'll review the quick way of getting there.
Do you want both of them -10 to +10?
Hold on. Okay, hold on. So I'm going to push window. And so your x minimum to maximum, that's this axis. -10, +10. So if it's not, I'll show you the quick way to fix it. Don't type it over it. And then x min -10 to +10. That's called standard window. If it's not in that window, the quickest, easiest way is to do zoom. Do you remember? Zoom 6. The zoom key is the next key. Zoom, and it's number 6. See, it says zoom standard, and you hit 6, and it takes you to standard, and it draws the graph. Now, we're going to let that help us. It's really not anything. I mean, we know how to graph it. So let's get our graph paper, and let's kind of lay that to the side for just a minute. Our vertex is at -6, too. So I need my x-axis, my y-axis to kind of be over here to the side. And I'm going to do my x-axis this way because I got to come all the way over to -6. So I base my graph on what my vertex is. See, because my graph is way over here, and so I need my graph over here. Now let's go ahead and graph it on the graph paper just like we did in like you were supposed to do in lesson 32. -6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, -2, put your vertex. It opens up because A was, now everything I'm stating down here is just extra information. A was +2, and this is stuff you have to state. This is stuff you can if you want to. A is +2, so it opens up. And then what does the 2 do for me? Do you remember how we said to do it? You're going to do 2 over 1, and you're going to go up 2 over 1 both ways. So you're going to go up 2, 1 to the right, 1 to the left. Now, that is all you get. If you go up 2 over 1 again, you're drawing a V that we did in lesson 26. And this is not a V because you're squaring. So if you, especially the parent really shows it to you. Because when you graph the parent, let's see if I can put my hands on the parent somewhere. Here we go. Notice that it's not up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, or up 3 over 1. See, it's up 1, and then up some more, and then up some more. Because you're squaring your numbers, it's actually going up, not linear relationship. And that's all you get. But look at your graph on your calculator. You kind of get a feel for it. And we can use our y-intercept, but I don't think it's going to be anything reasonable on this one. But let me show you what I'm talking about. Well, let's go ahead and sketch it. I think we're good. And I think you can make yours look like your calculator. You know, it's very smooth at the bottom. It's getting a little wider. If I were to take this graph and fold it, it would be the same on both sides. I know in elementary school you learn symmetry like the letter A. You know, you take the letter A. You can fold it fold it on that vertical line. It's the same on both sides. An H is symmetrical, this horizontally and vertical. It's both ways. You know, some letters are not at all. Like an S is not at all. A B is not. Well, depending on which way you go with it, but vertically it would not be. So we want to know what the axis of symmetry is. If I were to fold it, I would fold it right here, and I'm going to graph it on this one. You can graph it on any ones you want to, but it's the vertical line that goes straight through your vertex. It's not part of the graph. You see, it's not on the calculator, but it is it's just where I would fold it. It's the same on both sides. It's a vertical line X, and it's always going to be the X of the vertex. -6, -6. See, it goes through -6 right there. X is -6. It's the vertical line that goes through it. Now, the y-intercept, I probably could have picked a better example, but the y-intercept is where your graph crosses the y-axis. It's not obvious, but it does look like that it's going to go way up and cross it. Every parabola that opens up or down crosses the y-axis. I promise you. Just like every line that has an x and y is going to cross, it has a y-intercept. Every one of them does. Now, to find it, we're going to use the trace key. Now, let's talk about the trace key. If you remember trace, when you hit trace, we've done this? Okay. There's your equation right there, up there. And it's going to start giving you points. Now, the calculator is set. Now, you can use your left and right arrow to move, but don't move because the calculator is set when you turn it on to give you the y-intercept. Because the y-intercept is when x is 0. So x is 0, and it's going to be way, way up there, and it's actually way up at 70. So your y-intercept is at 70. So you're not going to be able to see all these. Now, I'll show you how you can change it. There's some features if you just wanted to see it. It's not great, but it does give you a feel that I'm not lying to you. It really does cross at 70. Now, the x-intercepts, let's go ahead and get this. Does this graph, now, I call x-intercepts, they're either touching intercepts where it just touches, or it crosses it. And I think it's pretty obvious on this one where the graph crosses the x-axis. Can you just count them? One of them is that one right there. I will show you how to do it algebraically. That is not something we want to do right now because these are too easy. What's that one right there? Well, here, let me show you. If I type, let me show you something. Type negative, not minus, but -6 when you're in trace. Just type -6. Enter, and look, it gives you the vertex, and it shows you where it is. There it is. There's our vertex. See? -6, -2. Now, I want to know what's that point right there. It's -5, 0. Now, you can check it. Type -5. -5. Enter. 0. That's where it crosses. It's an x-intercept. What's the other one? -7. Enter. And it is also. So the y-intercepts are -5, 0 and -7, 0. Now, a lot of books are just going to say, answer keys, ACT, I don't know, may just say -7, -5. But I like them as ordered pairs, at least now, so that you recognize they are points on the graph. There may not always be, they may not be nice, pretty ones. We'll talk about those. But everything today are nice, pretty intercepts. Now, what else I was going to show you that you can, just very quickly, you don't have to do this. I want you to just watch. If I go to my window, since I've already drawn it, if I go to my window and I know that the y-intercept is way, way up at 70 and my y-max is only at 10, I'm going to change that to just the y-max. You don't have to do this. I would say don't do it. I changed it to 100 a while ago. And it really throws your graph off because it's squishing the y-axis now. Look at those tick marks. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, this is from 1 to 100, but this is still 10 to -10. This is 0 to 100. This is 0 to -10. But if you hit trace, there it is, 0, 70, and it shows it to you. But see, the graph looks weird because it's like they've squished this and now put 100 units in it, so it changes the whole look of it. I would not suggest you do that, but I just wanted to show you that it was on the screen. The next thing I want to do is go back to Zoom 6, so it looks normal, and I think that's it. Okay, let's go inside.
Why wouldn't you go down to if it's a -2 up there? You should instead of...
No, this 2 right here, baby. A.
Oh.
That's your A. A's going to tell you. No, it's not that 2. That 2 was the -2 right here. Yes, that's the difference. When I do trace and hit -6, that's the -2 that I was talking about. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Okay, number 2 inside at the top.